I am super excited about today's video. So we're at the end of year one, and if you've watched this channel at all, you know that I am leaving my 9 to 5 within 3 years, so no 9 to 5 by 2028 to do music full time. We've ended year one. There are a lot of successes, a lot of great things that we did this year. So I just want to go over the results of this year and what the plan is for 2026. Let's go. All right, so let's start with the goals that we started at the beginning of this year. And I'm kind of proud of myself for following along all year long, tracking results. I think that's half the battle, right? If you actually want to change your life and you want to make a living making music, these are the things you have to do, right? So, pat on the back to myself. I'm kind of proud of myself that I've done this all year. Here is where we ended up by the end of the year. So, I wanted to make at least $5,000 in revenue from my music business. I made $6,863. I wanted to have a good relationship with at least one new music library, and I have started new relationships with 3 more music libraries this year. So that's a total of 4 now. And then I wanted to have 150 tracks in music libraries before the end of the year. I think I started off with like 42 or something like that. I fell a little bit short of that goal, but if I had never set this goal, I would not have created as much music as I did. So I created 119 pieces of music that ended up in music libraries this year. So I'm going to give myself another pat on the back. All right. So give me 1 second here. Let's open up kind of the full results here. So here's exactly the breakdown of the income, the expenses. It's really important to track your expenses and keep track of that as well, and to try to curb them so they don't take up all of your money, right? So I made $6,863. The expenses to run the business was $4,986. So this is going to be a big focus for 2026. We want to get this down, right? And make sure that our profits are way above our expenses. Total profit was close to $2,000 at $1,877.28. A lot of that came from royalties, so $2,643 in my ASCAP checks as they came in this year. The Beat business, so I do have a BeatStars store that I started, a couple like in 2020. I haven't added I've added maybe 1 or 2 tracks to it this year. So just keeping that open, there is already some like organic traffic on there. So I pay an $80 fee to keep it open and keep it going, and I make $300. So it's worth still investing in that and keeping it open, but I'm just not investing my time in creating new music for that because I'm focused on sync licensing and that music, right? Upfront consideration fees, so I did get a $3,000 check from that. And services, so this is things like audio engineering. I created an ad, that type of stuff. Services, and we're going to talk a lot more about services in a minute because I think this has the biggest opportunity to grow. YouTube income is 0. So when I started the year, I wanted to grow the YouTube channel and try to at least get monetized before the end of the year and start generating income there. I have made this a secondary goal, so I'm going to more focus on this after I have made a full-time living in music, quit my job and all of that kind of stuff, because this is a big time investment. But the channel did grow some this year. I went from I think it was 530 subscribers to 741, right? I went from like 900 minutes of watch time last year to 1.4 thousand, so 1,400 this year. You need to have at least 4,000 minutes and 1,000 subscribers to become monetized. This is not going to be a goal for 2026. I'm still going to post, right? I'm still going to post the progress, let you know how we're doing on this journey, because I know some of you are invested in this journey, so I'm definitely going to keep posting updates and things like that. And I'm still going to host the Sync Producer Spotlight, where I bring in members of the Sync Producer Hub community so they can share their stories and all of that. But I'm kind of putting YouTube to a backseat this year. Placements, I had 70 last year. A lot of great new shows, like Saturday Night Live was on the list. I have them on my website. I could show you my most recent ones. So let's see, Dowdy Music. Here we go. Let's see. Recent placements. So Dateline NBC, that, as always. And then the Friday the 13th Murders, Hustlers, Gamblers, and Crooks, SEC Football, Any Given Saturday, Hey Beautiful, and Barbecue Brawl are some of the shows that I was placed on last year out of these 70. I created 96 pieces of music. So that averages out to a little under 2 per week for the year. And excuse my coughing. I have had a cold, and I might cough a little bit during this, so just bear with me. I reached out to 65 libraries last year, and I got accepted by 3. Win highlights definitely would be the royalties and those consideration fees. All right, so let's talk about 2026 and what we're going to do this year. So these are the goals for 2026, and I'm really excited about that because you can see at the end of the year, this is part of the goal, right? Even if I have to move to like a part-time job or something like that, what's really important to me is freedom. So what I'm looking for here is to find ways to do music, to do it from my home, to set my own schedule, decide who I work with, all of those types of things. So here are the goals, and I'll explain exactly what the plan is for this year to do that. So at least $26,000 in music revenue. I want to have at least $20,000 profit and do this, leave the current job. If I have this much money, banked away, saved away, even if I made no money, I would have a couple of months of, like runway of leeway to do that. But I will not do this, leave current job, until I am sure that I have a system in place where I can generate income when I need it to cover everything that I need to cover. I'm going to create less music. So this year is, I created a lot of music last year. This year is all about creating relationships and selling some of the existing music and making sure that people know who I am, my name, growing my network, and all of that kind of stuff. So by the end of the year, I should have at least 170 pieces of music in music libraries. So sync licensing is the long-term plan. Then learn 10 full courses in something, right? Music theory, something, just about finances in general, how to grow your finances, how to grow your wealth, music business, AI, freelancing. And there was one more category that I'm going to add to this that came up today. I just can't remember what it is. But that will definitely be there as well. So you can see year 1 is done. We built the catalog and we started new relationships. Year 2, build relationships and become indispensable. That is what this year is all about. So what are we going to do? How's that going to break down? So 26,000 in revenue. You can see that I've added a freelancing. Freelancing is going to be a big part of this year. Creating an ability to create money remotely for doing jobs. And I know it's trading time for money and it's more of a short-term plan. But if you build that skill well enough, you build up your Upwork profile, all of that kind of stuff, you have created your own freedom, right? You can decide when you take lunch. You can decide when you go for a walk, right? You don't have a boss, you have clients, and you don't have to work with any client that you don't want to, right? That freedom, that's what I'm looking for. So that's going to be a big part of this. But starting with the sync music, because sync music is the long-term plan. That is creating passive income that just, where one piece of music could be used again and again in different shows, right? This is more of the retirement plan, the long-term plan. So I'm going to sell to the music department. So I've created a list. Let me bring that up real quick. In case this is something a plan, I'm going to let you know how this goes this year, right? And if it's successful, maybe you'll want to follow this plan. So I just want to kind of give you some of the details of it. So let's go back here. Music supervisors, right? So I went through, I got an IMDb pro plan, updated my IMDb, did all of that. And then found some true crime. So I make a lot of true crime music. I have over 80 pieces of music working with one music library just on anti-crime, true crime music, underscore, that type of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to some of these music supervisors directly, let them know that this music exists. It's all in the APM library, introduce myself, and just say, hey, you don't have to get back to me or anything like that, but if you need any music, here it is, right? So and it takes a long time to find a music supervisor's name using IMDb. I'll create a video on that process and what that looks like, just so you know. But one thing that I did identify while I was doing this research is that one of these, let me see who it is, Brad Siegel. He is a music supplier for a lot of shows on the ID channel, and he has his own company called Fine Tune Music. So I'm making Fine Tune Music part of my plan this year. I'm really going to try to pitch something well to them more than once and see if I can get on with them because, when it comes to underscore music, they really seem to have a lot of success. So I'm going to reach out to at least 50 this year. Probably more than once. I'm going to sell to content creators as well. So this is part of my Upwork plan and my freelancing plan. I went through and found podcasts, right? Podcast producers, what podcasts they work with, contact information, and all of that, right? So what I'm going to do, maybe like 5 a week or something like that, maybe a little bit more than that, is I'm going to reach out to them at least 200, this year. And let them know, hey, I have these services I can offer. I can create theme music. I can edit your podcasts. I can engineer your podcasts, create bumpers, anything like that. All of that type of work, I'm going to try to connect with them directly and see what I can do with freelance work doing that as well. Growing music library relationships, so that's part of it. Target fine-tune music, that's what I was talking about. I'm going to create at least 1 track a week. I'm probably going to focus more on the true crime stuff because I'm already deep into that, and it's easier to be known as a certain type of producer. When you need a certain type of music, reach out to this guy. He's the best, right? So I'm really going to specialize in that this year. And I'll still do like a sports album to try to get those consideration fees and things like that. But yeah, that's what this is. Hard Music Group. So they're the ones that paid me the upfront consideration fees last year or this year. To still 2025, and I'm recording this, so I'm going to try to at least do one more with them this year. A sports orchestral hip hop type of album, but most of it's going to be focused on selling and creating crime music. That's the Sync Music plan for this year. Freelancing. So I've already built up my Upwork profile. I'm taking a course from a lady named Erica. It's called Freelance with Erica, and it's a really good course. It has all of the swipe files, the prompts, everything that you need to, the strategy, everything that you need to become successful on Upwork. So I'm going to be doing that this year, and this is probably going to be more of the number one focus, with Sync Music taking a little bit of a back seat. I'm still going to follow this because it's the long-term plan, but in order to leave the 9 to 5 earlier, this is what I'm looking at. So, I want to make sure I have the right job success score, have that rating, and close at least 15,000 of the 26,000 in Upwork. So that's the plan for this year. Education, I'll be adding this as it goes, as I identify courses that I want to take in certain areas. But that is the plan for 2026. I'm really excited about it. Sometimes you have to pivot your initial strategy a little bit. Sync is definitely a slow game. You have to have a lot of patience, but it will pay off and it will snowball. But I'm more focused on creating relationships in Sync, selling the music I've already created in Sync this year, so that next year I can really focus on creating more music, or, creating those relationships where they're asking for music. That would be even better, right? Instead of just creating it all on spec. So I'm really focusing on the relationships this year, offering my services, getting in good with true crime podcast creators and creating music for them, and catching audio engineer work and production work in Upwork. So that's the plan this year. I'm going to share my successes as we go. We're going to do quarterly wrap-ups and all of that. I'm going to set milestone goals as we go as well. I haven't necessarily set my Q1 goals, but definitely we have the year goals ready to go. We've got the North Star. We got the biggest thing that we're trying to do. So that was 2025. This is what 2026 is going to be. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope this has helped you out. If you have any questions, don't feel free to reach out to me. I'm in the Sync Producer Hub all the time, so I think a lot of people that watch this, you can just reach to me in school. Otherwise, my email address is on my YouTube profile if you're watching this on YouTube, so reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions. All right? Have a great 2026.